we wanted to start with the patients and then end the day with the caregiver point of view of what it means to be a caregiver, the advice that it is. And we call it the Caregiver Survivorship Advice because caregivers do survive this as well. And they survive during the process when the patient has a situation where they do live a long time, when they become NED, or in extreme cases when they pass. The caregiver is there and they become a survivor. They learn to survive with the everyday change in their life. So what we're going to do is very briefly go down the list and talk about your history, a little quick 2 minutes, the 60-second elevator pitch of your life, who you are. We'll start with Dot. I met Dot. She lives in Campbell River, an area I know very well on Vancouver Island. And she has never done this before. Have you? No, I haven't. There you go. So I expect to see excellent evaluations on this because you gave us your emails and your addresses, and I know where I can find you. Just saying, be nice to Dot. Dot, take it away. It'll go.
This is on?
There you go.
Yes, it is. I'd like to say hello, everybody, and you've known by now that I'm Dot. I was a caregiver to my youngest daughter, who had metastatic kidney cancer she was diagnosed in 2011, and she did pass away in 2012. So for a year, that was pretty much my life. I just cared for her and tried to make sure the rest of my family was doing all right too. For myself, we came from the small town of Campbell River, which made it so we didn't have a whole lot of resources. Joanne had gone on to the internet and found Kidney Cancer Canada, but I would like to say that it was very small at that time, but myself, it was a great help. But I'm so overwhelmed with how big it has gotten now. And if it was to happen now, I would have all these resources here, and I wouldn't be in the dark like I was then. Thank you.
Thank you, Dot. This is a series of firsts. Russell is there. Russell is obviously a caregiver husband to Nancy, who we heard earlier on today. And throughout the day, by the way, every time I turned a corner, I saw Nancy there, getting all the information she could. Russell's here. And Russell, what's your elevator pitch and background for how you came to be sitting here today? In fact, I twisted your arm.
Stephen, it's an absolute pleasure to be here and to see my wife this morning take up my time. So I'm just going to say quickly, I'm a care partner to Nancy right now. Somatics are important, and she helps me and I help her. And it's been a journey already for us. As she mentioned, breast cancer 14 years ago. And our three boys, who are all at university now, were quite young then, the youngest back then being about 8. And I still remember the soundbite that stuck in my head when we let them know Mom was going to be having some surgeries and chemo, and she'd look worse than she did at the time when she was diagnosed. And our little guy said, "Are you going to live or die?" And we said, "We hope Mom lives." And so I would just say we've been on a journey that's got over that. And then the kidney cancer, as Nancy said, 6 years ago, and now stage 4, metastatic renal cell carcinoma, translocation XP11.2. So I'll stop there. All I can say is I dig up research as fast as I can, and I'm on a little leave from my job, which was, and I'll talk about it, mental health. I'm trying to do a bank M&A role in the mid-market for Royal Bank of Canada, as well as come home with a family and kids, and I think I lost my shock absorbers and wore down. So I'll talk about mental health on the issues that Nissan spoke to and reaching out to resources.
And last but no means by final, this is Kathy Evanoff, and you saw Gord earlier today with his, I want to see your kilt before you go, by the way.
It's not going to be possible. I wouldn't let him, no, actually, he was too shy. Can you imagine to pack it? But those are his Scottish true that he was encouraged to bring. I was really happy to hear from my new friend beside me about being a care partner, because when I was asked to talk about being a caregiver, I thought, oh gosh, I've hardly given much care at all to this great man. And he gave a lot of care to me, though. I was diagnosed, I guess, about 13 years ago with breast cancer and mastectomy, and not a very happy program, but I'm a survivor. And when he was diagnosed about 9 years ago, I thought, oh, I got to do some things at least to ensure that he is going to be a survivor. So, as you can tell, I'm just so incredibly nervous. The idea is that one breathes deeply. And that didn't help at all, I'm sure. So we have one son who I just texted today and said, please talk to your doctor again about getting tested. Last time he talked to her, she said, oh, I don't think there's any real need. So I'm going to keep on that. He's married and has, we have one acquired granddaughter who's 19 and two little ones who, Mackenzie is 6 and Declan is 2. And they're the light of our life. So they're definitely worth living for.
Thank you. Okay, so let's bring it up. I asked this when we did our pre-meeting, and if Danny was standing here, my caregiver, he would have a lot to say about this. I throw it out to you. What's the one thing that the patient does that drives you crazy? Now, he wouldn't come and sit here and talk about this today, but I can tell you, if he was here, we would have to extend the program another couple of hours, because I would do some pretty crazy things. Let's start with Russell. Russell, what's the one thing that that you can say public? Oh, you've been told not to speak.
Well, thanks, Stephen, for roping me in, and that great question. I guess I'll just say that I stepped on my rose-colored glasses. That's called a callback to something that was said earlier today. I actually, Nancy and I would be married 30 years this November, and I'm super always in love with my Nancy. And to be honest, it's you know what, Stephen, I can't say that anything really ultimately irritates me, because I'm not the person with the cancer in my body, and I just want to give as best support as I can. I got a stupid sense of humor that I try to put out there that's not always read the right way, but I don't know. We're just trying to survive as a family, survive jobs, and pay mortgages and enjoy holidays. And I do appreciate all our amazing caregiver and medical teams and the and Kidney Cancer Canada. So all I can say is lots of things frustrate both of us in the moment, but when you look through it all, boy, it's just small stuff when you're dealing with a lot of these issues.
Kathy?
Ditto. 44 years for us, so that's just a beginning. And as Russell said, it's the little things. It's never the big things. It's the little things. We can have huge fights, and it's like all over pretty quick. But pretty much everything he does bugs me. And although I wouldn't allow him to talk about it, pretty much everything I do bugs him. But, you know, like 44 years. I guess we've learned to live with it.
Okay, Dot. Dot, when you were a carer, I was wondering, and I think it's patients, we see this, it's you're guarded, I think. I sense that sometimes, that the carer wants to say something, but they censor themselves, or they keep it, they internalize it, because they don't want to put another thing on the patient. And what I think it does is it changes the relationship.
I suppose it did, because you are kind of careful of things that you say. You don't want to hurt them, and if I guess it's the medications and things, but sometimes they hurt you very badly, but you wouldn't say anything about it because you know where it came from, and that's probably the thing that bothered me the most.
Do you find, Kathy, that you sometimes have to cut the patient some slack, or you find?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's true. And Dot is so very, very correct. There's lots of stuff that comes out when they're suffering so badly. And you just kind of, at times, you just, you know, so you end up with a tongue that's a little sore from time to time. But what the heck? Small things.
You know, so I break my neck. Russell, I know we talked about this earlier, but I think it's something that does drive me crazy, is the fact that carers sometimes will keep asking the patient, "Are you okay? What's wrong now? What's this?" And to be honest, you know, I would, as a patient, I would say, if there was something wrong, I will tell you, which actually may not be true. But, well, I'm just saying, and I'm sure the patients are laughing because you know where it's coming from. But do you find that, are you more heightened and aware of things happening in your life? Because it's not just happening to the patient's happening to you too, because you become so empathetic to what they're going through.
I think there's a large degree at times of walking on eggshells. I would just say it's always guarded in the best sense of my partner, and I'm sure of everyone's partner and family, guarded in how we share the sound bites. Our boys are away at university. We keep them up to date, but I think sound bites are really important when you have our university kids writing finals, not to throw them off track with the wrong soundbite, but make sure that they know how the treatment care is going, so there's no surprises. I would say that I probably drive my wife nuts because, you know, I probably do ask her, "Are you okay?" when she does something that she says hurts or is sore, because she ultimately, I think it was mentioned earlier, if you have had cancer any kind, and then later you feel sick, you might think that you need to go get a lot of tests, but for someone who hasn't, you may take ibuprofen. Like, I'm just saying it's a different world, and I try to understand as best I can, Stephen, but I probably over ask too many times. And for Nancy, we didn't share with all our close circle of friends or immediate family, so I guess as a care partner, I was always asking her, what do they know if I'm out at a function, if we're at a dinner table on a function, what have you told your book club friends versus our friends that we go golfing with? Or, like, I just really was getting quite confused, and Nancy has been really refreshing and open. Like this morning is a first here, and also prior to that, we put together, and she did it, is an update to all our very close family, circle of friends, and all of that. So there isn't where we have to walk around not knowing who knows what, when, where.
Mm-hmm. How did you deal with Dot? How did you deal with people asking all the time how Joanne was? Did it affect your mental health, or any advice you can offer people that want to come and see how you're doing from your perspective?
I really don't know how to answer that one. My friends would come over and the first while, but after a while I didn't see them that much because I was just too involved with everything else. Yeah. So.
What about communication between you? And I wonder, I'll start off with Kathy about this, because the one thing I discovered, or that we discovered, was we had to learn to communicate in a new way, in a new environment. Can you talk a bit about that, Kathy?
Yeah, Gord's the type of person who speaks very easily about sailboats and cars and all kinds of things that a lot of guys really like to do, but he doesn't like to talk about his feelings very much. And often when I talk about my feelings, I end up crying, so that just really scares him. So other than being a tremendous caregiver, which I haven't necessarily been, I've been a big proponent on trying to get different types of therapy into our lives. One thing that I introduced him to after having been in barbershop singing myself for over 30 years, and he was always told never to sing a note, and came out to barbershop chorus one night, and the guys were all over him and said, "Oh, you got to join," and he said, "Oh yeah, I will," and I'm going, "Oh, really?" And you know, he's now singing in 2 different choruses, and he loves it, and it's just the greatest therapy. You don't hear about music therapy that much. He's also taken up, well, actually we both did, but then I kind of dropped it, and he's become a really good ukulele player. Oh God, can you imagine? Yeah, but he is.
I'm now having this
really
vision of Gord in his kilt playing ukulele.
Right? Yeah, the picture is wonderful. And he always loved cooking, as you can tell, and of course I loved eating it. And so we often went to this kitchen thing that they had down in the basement at Toronto General Hospital that they don't have anymore. I think they have it still online.
So they actually do still have it. They moved
Online,
it.
I think, so.
They did. You can go in person, and
Yeah.
I can also tell you that the next one is the Excelsior Kitchen,
Excelsior.
and they're going to do one for kidney cancer patients. We're trying to get a celebrity to be there at the time, and that'll be on June the 20th. So that'll be on World Kidney
June
Cancer
12th,
Day.
that's Kidney Cancer Day.
It'll be Kidney Cancer Day.
Oh,
So that's
we
coming
just
up.
might have to go to that.
Yeah.
So we went to that many, many times, got lots of different recipes that weren't necessarily, applicable to Gord's particular problems he was having, but it was all of these things just kind of take your mind off. Not that you're trying to forget that you have cancer, but sometimes it's nice just not to think about it 24/7.
Yeah. Russell, have you had any emotional mental health support as you go through, and how did it work for you? And maybe you could share with people if you would recommend doing it.
Well, I think that's the biggest part, Stephen. We talked earlier in our group about that, and as a man with a family, I tried to always just keep things normal. So through the breast cancer 14 years ago with 3 little children, you need a paycheck, you got a mortgage, and I wanted to keep the house normal, so to speak, and just ground through it. And luckily we got through that, I guess. And then 6 years ago, when Nancy went in with what she thought was just some tight tummy pain, and they go, "You got a 10-centimeter kidney cancer," and like 10 days later, our world's upside down, and Dr. Martin Duffy successfully removed that 10-centimeter cancer, and I thought it was all gone, so I again just grind through work again as we go through life. And Nancy would tell me later, way too far to the rose-colored glasses, and she was depressed. I just didn't see that, to be honest. I just wanted everything normal. And when it came back here 2 years ago, coming up this June, as metastases in stage 4, that hit us both, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. And to be honest, I found it very hard to go to Tom Baker and see, and he's terrific, Dr. Daniel Hang, and you saw Dr. Sean Dedani, and there's a whole team, and they're terrific. But I would go from meetings at the bank on deals, and then go to that, and then go back, and to be honest, I wasn't really functioning that well. And our breast cancer supportive care, actually, lady recommended a psychologist, so I'll be very open. I go every month and talk about feelings, because I don't talk about with my group of buddies who I kick a old man soccer ball. I play over 55 and pretend I'm one of your Vancouver Whitecaps. But you know what? Those are the guys I go drink beer and have wings with, and my other guys I play golf with or at work, I really don't talk about that kind of stuff. So I'm not in the, it's maybe different for men and women, but whatever your circle, and I made a note here of falling on Nissan's mental health. As a care partner, I also dealing with anticipatory grief and pre-grief, and so just recognizing actually whether we have our 3 boys and extended close family, it affects the whole family, and I just was kind of ignorant to it on the first couple goes.
Karen wanted me to say, she said, if she was here, she'd give you the advice, try to live the days you have. And with the new immunotherapy and monotherapies in combination, you have many. She said, you know, with her husband, David, they had 12 years from diagnosis, and you don't want to waste them. Adapt to the reality, make a plan, and do things that you both love as best as you can. And I think that is really, really good advice, because your life has changed. And I know that there's Elizabeth Kubler-Ross writes about the 5 stages of grief. You probably heard them: anger, frustration, denial, bargaining, and acceptance. And it's not like you go through a loop and you clicked off anger and then you go to denial, but you jump back and forth between them. And it becomes almost this like mistress or boyfriend in the relationship. And yeah, you try to find ways to, your reality has changed, and you try to find ways to normalize it, I think. Do you not, Kathy? Or?
Yeah, it's almost like a third person in the relationship, isn't it? Really, we reached out to, and I was probably the driving force to do this, to social work at Princess Margaret, and we were really fortunate in getting into some programs, partially because I was a cancer survivor as well, whereas normally they will serve the patient only. And so Gord especially has become a real cheerleader for patient and caregiver support, mental health support. So we've done mindfulness-based cognitive therapy groups and sessions, and have a fellow that we see every once in a while when we need to, and he's gone out of his way to make sure that we get the therapy that we need.
What more did you need, Dot, when you were going through this as a carer? What more did you need? Was there anything missing that people could have helped you with during those, 12 or so months that your soul life was just taking care of, Joanne?
I think mostly information, because I had nowhere to get it. But we were in a bit different situation, because my daughter fell and broke her hip, and she spent the last 8 months of her life in a wheelchair in the hospital. So everything is a little bit different than living out normally, because I spent every day at the hospital from 7 in the morning till 9 at night. And we used to do meals and everything up there, so a lot of these questions really don't pertain to our situation, if you understand what I mean.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I do. Is there advice, because you've lived it, you've been through it now, and we'll start with you, Russell, that you give to the people watching online and the people in the room that, and by the way, if you have questions or you want to share your own experience, just raise your hand and we'll come right over, that you would want to offer?
I guess I'd start with saying, in my opinion, like, honestly, we're all different, both as care partners and those with cancer, and they're amazing doctors, and we're at times get frustrated, all of us, with each other in the system or in our relationships. But I have to say, I've heard since last night, and actually as you pulled us together with the conference calls, and I say hi to Vidya and Karen, who helped get us started on our care partner panel, is the word team. And I'm just a big believer that you get a lot more done as a team. And so I couldn't be more proud to have, out of a situation that's occurred to us, in my opinion, just be involved with Kidney Cancer Canada right now and in the future. But for those, in my opinion, it's helped me. I never thought I'd see a psychologist or talk to a psychiatrist or all the other supports, but whatever supports are out there when the time's right, I'd encourage people to reach out. But you can't tell people what to do.
Were you scared when you went into that first meeting?
Oh yeah. I don't know why, but I was, and I just thought it was a breakdown in a mail that was brought up to pick it up or sit or not. What's the word? Big boys don't cry. I don't know. I'm an old school guy. I carry paper. I read a paper, Globe and Mail. I just thought I'm part of the foundation of the family that's keep her going, and but it's been good actually. So, but everyone's different. So I really would hate to.
Maybe we get a microphone to Nissan. Where are you?
I can give Nissan's mine if you want.
Because I think this is important, only from the experience that you feel when it happens to you, not as a patient, not just as a patient, but as a patient partner, patient son, patient daughter, mother, son, that it is so unique to you. And yet there is so much help out there to get you through that initial shock, right?
There is. And, you know, the toughest part is getting patients and care partners the help that they need, because I think they're in this situation where they want to make it work and they want to be as normal as possible. But, you know, and even mentioning it, I remember a couple of times, and you know, there's some patients that just don't even want to look at it and don't even want to think about it. And then, you know, I've had some patients where I have linked with, you know, with psychiatry, and it didn't go well. And that's also horrible as well, because they just didn't click with the person that, you know, I finally got them to that point, and then it didn't click, and then it didn't work, and they wouldn't go back. And so, you know, I would suggest that, you know, if someone is suggesting as a patient, caregiver, or couples or family counseling, I think it's very important. It's part of, it should be part of the care that you get, not just the oncology, the medication. It should be all part of it, the symptom, palliative care. I think all of that is important. And we've gotten to the point where there is that support, and, you know, the healthcare system has bought into it, and they're supporting it, and the next step is, I think, that we need to use it and normalize it in cancer care.
Yeah, I think that's very true, because I'll tell you, you know, my brother won't mind me telling you this. I mean, he'd been at a place working for many, many years, and in his 50s, they laid a whole bunch of people off. And they laid off his wife as well, because they worked for the same company, and they had to go through, the government had training programs to retrain them into something else that they could do to move forward their life, because they realized it's such a traumatic situation. Well, a cancer diagnosis when the family is traumatic as well. And yet, you're right, there's not the support there to go, okay, you're now in a different world, right?
The issue is that I think patients and family feel that they're failing if they're not coping. And that's the other issue is, you know, it's not failing. I think it's just another layer that you need to get through. And when you're healthy and mental health wise, when you're healthy, then you can then be a lot more supportive to each other than if, you know, again, if you're just sort of going through the motions of, you know, trying to be as strong as you can.
Biggest challenge for you going through this? I know, Dart, you said lack of, or needing more information. Is that, do you still feel that today, or do you feel that it's, by the way, I just want to point out, Dart and the Campbell River Eagles every year for the past couple of years and have done a fashion show fundraiser. Thankfully, they haven't asked me to come and be a model in it yet, but I always have an excuse to go. But this fundraiser puts together and brings $5,000 into our for patient programs for such as things, building the resource for that. So I want to thank you on behalf of everybody for the work you do.
Great welcome.
It is a lot of work, and you guys have a lot of fun. I see that.
Well, this is something that we do. Joanne, all she ever wanted was to be able to help somebody else with her condition, and so this is our way of giving back.
Well, thank you. That's really wonderful. Russell. What's that?
I have nothing to add to that one.
Do you want to come too?
I'll come and do the fashion show.
Yeah. That is Deb, by the way. Stand up, Deb, and say hi. This is, there we go. That is Dot's other daughter, and is volunteering here today. Yeah. Question. Okay, we have a comment or question. Go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to mention that I'm from Victoria, and I'm a patient. This is my caregiver.
Hello.
Actually, she's my partner. I just wanted to point out now, like, which I don't know if it was available when Dot was going through her experience, but the Inspire, I'd like to mention about Inspire in BC. We only have it in BC, and it treats the whole family, and it's in a holistic manner. And it's in Vancouver, and it's in Victoria and Kelowna. And it has done so much for me, which is, I think, helped my family too. They offer yoga, meditation, counseling. You can see a doctor for 90 minutes to help maybe go through some reports that you didn't get everything straight when you're at the doctor's office. Counseling around nutrition, you have classes. You can get free acupuncture if you're experiencing chemo. And you also bond with a lot of each other. We've all got different cancers, and it's free. And the government provides so much to the funding, and we raise extra money. So I encourage anyone in BC, you can also go online. It's inspirehealth.ca, and they do have the programs, and they also do meditation online for those who can't get out. But it's an excellent program. It's helped me immensely. I've been fighting it for 4 years. Yeah.
That's great.
So.
Great. So you're the patient, and then, and the caregiver is sitting right beside them there. How can I ask you how you have managed to cope through this, and maybe, putting you on the spot, but.
I guess the biggest thing is that I've learned through this is if I make sure I take care of myself.
Wow. Yeah.
First, then I'll have more oxygen to be able to take care of my family members. I too am sort of the moderator of the whole family, and I'm sort of the guiding light with Mom, and we're walking it together. But so making sure they're in the loop, but making sure you're not alarming them, but making sure that they're understanding what's going on. And yeah, so I'm just grateful for every day with Mom.
That's wonderful.
Can I just add one thing? I just encourage everybody to come to any forum like this. This is the 4th forum that we've been to. We were at the first one in Toronto. And every time that we've been to one of these, we have found it easier just to talk about the situation and talk to as many people as you can. Because, I mean, we all started with, as Dot said, very little information. And so the more information we get, and the easier it will be for those people we talk to when we share what we've learned with them, for them to accept our situation and anything they might come up against too. So just, try not to keep it all inside. Share it. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to make a comment? Over there. Sorry, I couldn't see with the lights. Go ahead.
So one comment. Kidney Cancer Canada, on our website, we have a blog, and then there's Smart Patients that's sort of run out of the States that's got quite activity in Canada. Have you used the online blogs as a support network, or anybody else in the room have any comments on how the blogs have helped with the caregiver support?
Dot, have you used it? No?
I used to read them, but...
Used to read them?
Oh, yeah.
And did that help?
Yeah, it helps you understand a few things, yes. Yeah.
I should mention it's going to be completely revamped in the next few weeks, so it will be upgraded and it will be a super duper plan for Canada to make sure that you get the support. We've been taking notes of the comments that everyone's been making on how we can improve. Nancy has given us a new project. She didn't know she did it, but it was a good project, talking about how do I share this information. It would be great if I could just go into a portal, type what I'm feeling, and then it's sent to selected people about what they would like to do. We're going to work on that. We'll have that on there so that you can provide a closed forum, so you can provide updates to your friends, and that will be another project that we're going to put on the list, because I think it's a great way of doing it, you know. Because I asked that question earlier, Russell, you know, you go to parties and people keep saying, coming up to you and going, well, how are things going, you know? And sometimes I want to answer the question, but I'm so tired of saying the same thing again. I'm just like, you know, hey, you know, check my LinkedIn page or something's going to be there, because I really, if I tell one more person about, you know, something terrible that happened, or one, you know, it's not that it reminds it, but you just get so tired of it. Yeah? Yeah. I'm going to leave it there, folks, because that's a great conversation, and I want to thank you all for sharing.